Hi guys, my name is Alexa and today I'm going to be going through everything that you need to know about doing an EF Ultimate Break trip. Earlier this summer, I went on the Costa Rica adventure. The reason that I chose EF Ultimate Break over another tour company was because I already knew about EF from my high school, although I never went on any of their tours that they had going on at my school. I knew other people that had. EF also will book your plane tickets, which other tour companies didn't do, which is a good and a bad thing. I'll go into that later. But given that it was my first time traveling solo outside of the country, I figured that that would make it a lot easier for me. So that's part of the reason that I chose EF. When you book a trip with EF Ultimate Break, when you go into their webpage, it will have a list of the dates that they are running the tour. So between this date and this date, and they pretty much just go on a loop, so you can choose it. They have one going pretty much every week. And then next to the dates, they have the cost of the trip. And the cost includes plane tickets, hotels, transportation, and any of the excursions that come with the trip. So the only cost for that I had to pay for on the trip came from extra excursions that I signed up for, food, and transportation when I was exploring the city with my friends instead of with the group itself. Okay. As I mentioned, it was my first time traveling solo, so it was really nice because before the trip I would also get information on how much to budget for the trip to pay for food and other souvenirs, what price range I should probably budget, what is customary for tipping, how much to tip the tour director and bus driver, things like that. So they definitely give you a lot of information, and as you book the trip, you will figure out more and more about how much to actually plan for the trip, which was really nice. There wasn't any surprises at all when it came to the prices, which I really liked. One of the downsides was sometimes the flights wouldn't be what you would want them to be otherwise, so sometimes it might be better to just plan your own flights, which you can definitely do. You can choose to not have EF plan your plane and flight information for you. I had some friends who had some pretty nasty layovers and had to get up super early, and so the trip itself was 9 days, but 2 of those days are travel days, and for me, for example, I got in really late the first night and I had to leave really early the next morning. So it was pretty much just a week of actually being in Costa Rica. If I had probably chosen my own plane tickets myself, I could have changed that and found different ones that worked better for actually getting to explore. So that is one downside to that, but as I mentioned, if it is your first time traveling and you don't know quite what to expect, it is a little bit nicer just not having to think about that. When you book the trip, you get the option to pay all up front or pay in increments, which was really helpful if you don't want to have everything go out at once. I was also able to purchase travel insurance, which was really nice because with everything going on with COVID, it was really helpful knowing that my trip was insured, and also that I would be able to choose a different date to go on the trip if something didn't work out. I'd say that it was about a month before the trip itself that I actually got information about what hotels we'd be staying at, what days, everything about my flight information. So it took a little bit for everything to show up, but once I had it all, it was really easy to plan stuff and to let people know where I'd be and when. Before the trip, everyone got added to a Facebook group where we were able to do some icebreakers and try to figure stuff out. So for example, there were some people who wanted to do surfing, and they kind of got a bit of a head count of who all would want to go surfing during our trip. Overall, I'd say that we didn't use the Facebook group a ton to interact with one another before the trip, but it's how we got a lot of information from our tour guide and how we figured out a lot about what was going to be going on and how to figure stuff out. Closer to the trip itself, we switched to WhatsApp, where we were able to text a lot more and people were much more active on that, and that was our way of communicating throughout the entire trip once we actually got there. Our tour director gave us instructions using the WhatsApp of where to go and where to meet him. So it was really clear what to do, which was really nice. For the trip excursions, they let you know on the website what all you're going to be doing that's included with your price. So for us, it was going zip lining, going to La Fortuna waterfall, going to Baldi hot springs, and those were all amazing, awesome adventures. I really enjoyed everything that was included. But they also give you options for additional excursions that you're able to go on that will cost extra. So the excursions that I did was whitewater rafting and the catamaran. Those were both amazing. I think that everyone who went on them really enjoyed them. Our tour director also included ahead of time that everyone who goes on those excursions has a really good time. The one excursion that was additional that I didn't go on, that everyone who went on it had kind of iffy things to say about it, was the night hike. I don't know if it was just the time of year, but not a lot of people really enjoyed that. Our tour director let us know ahead of time in the group chat that people who went on the whitewater rafting and catamaran always enjoyed it, but he didn't really say much about the night hikes. So that is something to be wary of a little bit. See what your tour director specifically recommends you guys do, because even though I feel like the night hike could have been pretty cool, I just didn't hear a lot of awesome reviews about it, which was the only thing that people on the trip didn't really enjoy, and was one of the optional extra excursions. Normally people met other people in the group when they first arrived. Some people had the same flights together if they were from the same area, even if they had never met before, and they got to meet each other there and get to know each other on the drive to the hotel. There was nobody who went from my home state, so I got to meet people once I actually got to the hotel. But yeah, so the tour director stayed at the airport and waited for groups of people to come in, and the groups would go to the hotel and meet there, and that's normally where we got roommate assignments. For the EF Ultimate Break, you do have roommates. For my group, I only ever had one other roommate or two other roommates, which was pretty nice. Online it says to expect between 3 to 6, so that was pretty convenient, but you do get to choose your roommates as well. The first night that we got in, they kind of had a bit of a roommate assignment, but if other people came in with other people or knew this person and wanted to be roommates with them, they were more than welcome to. So that was nice. Yeah, so as I mentioned, I went on this trip alone, and it was super easy for me to find friends and make really deep, really amazing friendships. A lot of people were super nice and super welcoming. It was also an environment that, because you have roommates, because we're doing so many different excursions and things like that, it's really easy to just find a group and get to meet people. And there are a lot of people that I met on that group that, even though I only knew them for a week, I feel like a very strong level of friendship with. I would definitely recommend doing this if you are planning on traveling alone, for sure. Okay, I've only been on one EF trip, so my group might not be the way others were, but my group was kind of small from what I've heard. There were about 27 of us, and there were 3 guys, the rest were girls. Overall, some people did ultimately have some conflicts with one another. I think that might just be kind of common for the age group that we are. I don't know for sure. Like I said, every group is going to be different, obviously. You are going to be around these people for a week. Not everyone gets along completely. So going to a different country alone, my biggest concern was traveling safely. So going with the tour definitely helped that. As I mentioned, our tour director always gave us a ton of helpful advice. He told us what streets to go on that would be safer. He told us kind of the expectations before going into different towns. Overall, Costa Rica is a pretty safe country, and there wasn't a ton of concern, but he definitely helped give us pointers on where to go to be safer and what not to do to stay safe in another country, and that was really important. Something that I would definitely do is always go in a group of people. The WhatsApp was really nice because we could just text the group chat and ask, hey, does anyone want to go do this with me, or go out here if there was something that you wanted to do and maybe your roommate wasn't up for it. So there was a lot of different options there, which was really nice. Overall, I felt very safe being on this trip. I never really had any scares where I felt that I was in jeopardy or anything like that. So that was something that was very important to me, and a large part of the reason that I chose to go with the group the way that I did. Overall, I'd say that I liked all the hotels and hostels that we stayed at. I'd say that the biggest issue that we had with housing was at one of the hostels, some girls found a spider in their room and other ones found a scorpion. Everyone did massive room checks after that, and people would come and help out. That being said, in Costa Rica, not everything is gonna be 5 stars all the time or anything close to that, so I don't know for sure how exactly the places that we stayed compare to other places that you would stay in the region, so I guess I can't really speak on to that, so I don't know for sure if there's much that they can do about it. There was only one place that we stayed at that actually had hot water. All the rest of them were like just either kind of medium or like lukewarm or kind of cold, so that wasn't the most pleasant thing, but that was another part of the reason that I really enjoyed the trip. Was it was just a lot of fun exploring someplace new. All in all, I would definitely go on another EF Ultimate break trip again. It was tons of fun. I met a lot of really amazing people. Overall, I really enjoyed the experience, and I think a lot of people there did too. So yeah, if there's any more questions, feel free to ask them in the comments, and yeah, I hope you have a good one. Bye guys.